The scripture lesson today is Psalm 8, which can be found on page 492 of the Old Testament section of your Pew Bible. This is a hymn of praise, traditionally attributed to King David, and scholars believe that David composed this while observing the starry sky, a reflection of his early life as a shepherd spent outdoors. As you'll hear, it's a poetic meditation on God's majesty and on the dignity bestowed upon humanity, us, amid the vastness of our creation. O Lord, our sovereign, how exalted is your name in all the world. Out of the mouths of infants and children, your majesty is praised above the heavens. You have set up a stronghold against your adversaries to quell the enemy and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have set on their courses, what are mortals that you should be mindful of them, their children that you should seek them out? You have made them but little lower than the angels. You adorn them with glory and honor. You give them mastery over the works of your hands. You put all things under their feet, all sheep and oxen, even the wild beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, and all that walks in the paths of the sea. O Lord, our sovereign, how exalted is your name in all the world. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
A few years ago, I went to Oregon for the first time with my family. We had a great trip. We ate a lot of ice cream thanks to a visit to the Tillamook factory. And if you've never been there, it's probably one of the best places on earth if you like free samples, which of course my family does. But the moment that stayed with me from this trip didn't involve ice cream. We visited a place called Smith Rock State Park. It's not the most famous destination. You probably won't see it at the top of a Google search of what to do while you're in Oregon. And yes, I did double check that before saying it here today. But our visit turned out to be unforgettable. While we were there, we spotted a nest with 3 bald eagle babies. That alone was exciting. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and there's not very many bald eagles there, and certainly no bald eagle babies that I have ever seen, so the moment already felt special. And then, completely unexpectedly, the mother eagle came soaring through the sky straight toward the nest. There are certain moments that feel almost unreal while they're happening. So powerful that you can replay them later in your mind like a movie. This was one of those moments for me. We were the only people around. The environment was spectacular. We were surrounded by these huge rock formations and beautiful trees. And as the eagle soared overhead, we all just stopped. Our jaws dropped. I remember getting goosebumps, and honestly, I feel like I'm getting them again as I'm telling you the story now. Without planning it, we all made the same sound, like an oh. We looked at each other, and then we looked straight back at the sky just to catch another glimpse. In that moment, we all experienced something together. We experienced awe. Today, I want to show you that moments like that, moments of awe, don't just feel meaningful in the moment. They can shape how we think and how we act towards the environment. Moments of awe can actually change how we think about nature, and they can make us more likely to take action on issues like climate change. And this is important because even though we have strong scientific evidence that climate change is real, human-caused, and happening now, that information alone is often not enough to get people to act. but emotions can be. And one of the most powerful emotions for shaping how we think and how we act towards the environment is awe. Now, to understand why awe matters in this context, I think it helps to start with how psychologists think about it and define it. Awe is the feeling that we get when we encounter something vast, something so big or so beautiful or so complex that it challenges how we normally understand the world. People describe it in different ways: wonder, amazement, surprise, even a sense of transcendence. It could be standing under a sky full of stars, hearing a powerful piece of music, seeing an act of incredible kindness, or looking out over a beautiful landscape. Sometimes awe comes from these big, dramatic moments, like the eagle flying overhead in Smith Rock State Park. But awe also shows up in everyday life, in the way the light shines through the trees, in a bright, colorful sunset, in the small details we usually rush past. And when we feel awe, something really interesting happens psychologically. Awe is often accompanied by something that researchers call the small self, a diminished sense of self that's accompanied by a stronger feeling of connection to other people, to the environment, and to something greater than ourselves. That idea, the small self, is one of the most important parts of awe. When people feel awe, they feel smaller, not in a negative way, but in a perspective-shifting way, less focused on themselves and more connected to something bigger. In one study, researchers compared tourists at Yosemite National Park to tourists at a busy built waterfront in San Francisco. These locations are interesting and important because nature is one of the main sources of awe. So the Yosemite visitors, who were surrounded by nature, reported that they felt more awe. And then when they were asked to represent themselves, either by selecting a circle size or drawing themselves in a picture, they depicted themselves about 30% smaller on average than those in the built waterfront. Awe quite literally shrinks how we see ourselves. And at the same time, it expands our sense of connection to other people and to the world. The feeling of awe, which then leads to the feeling of a small self and feelings of increased connectedness, it also has further downstream consequences for how people think and act towards the environment. And we know this because there's many psychological studies that show this pattern. For example, in one study, researchers asked people to write about a past experience. They had some people write about an awe-inspiring moment in nature. This could be something like the story I shared earlier about the bald eagle. They had other people just write about an ordinary event in their lives, like going to the grocery store. Those who wrote about awe in nature felt more connected to nature, and in turn, they reported stronger intentions to do things like recycle more and take shorter showers. In another study, people watched different types of videos, one of the videos being a nature video that was designed to evoke awe. Those who watched this awe-inducing video felt more connected to nature, again, and they were more likely to agree that humans are causing climate change and that climate change's effects are already visible. So awe didn't just make people feel something. It changed the actions they were willing to take and the thoughts they had about climate change. Even just a few minutes of awe shifted how people think about the environment. We see the impact of awe on the environment in real-world studies, too. Tourists who experience awe in natural settings report stronger intentions to engage in environmentally responsible behaviors while they are there, like taking their trash with them or supporting conservation efforts. Professionals who work in or near water, like field biologists or people who work in water management, these professionals make more environmentally friendly decisions when they regularly experience awe in their life. Farmers who feel more connected to nature which results from feelings of awe, as we talked about earlier, they are more likely to protect native vegetation and engage in restoration efforts. So whether people just watched a short awe nature video, or went on a trip to a beautiful natural setting, or just worked outside as a farmer and looked for awe experiences, across all of these examples, we see the same pattern. Awe shapes how people think about the environment and how they act towards it. And these awe experiences may be even more impactful when we share them with someone else. Think back to that moment with my family. We all reacted at the same time. Research shows that shared experiences are more intense, more memorable, and more meaningful than experiences we have alone. And this may be even more amplified when feeling awe, because awe already increases our feelings of social connection. So awe doesn't just connect us to nature, it connects us to each other. And when people feel connected to each other and to the world, they're more likely to take collective action. The good news is awe isn't rare. You don't have to travel across the country to find it. You can take an awe walk, just going outside and intentionally noticing things you normally overlook. You can watch a nature video or a documentary, read an inspiring story, visit a museum, or spend time with a child and see the world through their eyes. Spaces like the one we are in now, places where people gather and reflect and connect, these spaces can also be powerful sources of awe. And it can be even simpler than that. Pausing to notice the sky, a tree, a line of ants carrying something twice their size. Those small moments can spark awe too. And when you share those experiences with others, they may become even more impactful. I still think about that moment in Oregon, not just because the environment was beautiful, but because of how it felt. For a brief moment, everything else faded away. It was just my family, the sky, and this incredible creature doing what it's always done. And in that moment, we felt small, but also deeply connected. And that feeling stayed with us. And it still sticks with me today when I make environmental decisions. That's the power of awe. It doesn't just change how we feel in the moment, it can change how we see the world, and even how we choose to care for it. So I want to leave you with a simple challenge. Try to find awe in your life each day in whatever form it takes. And when you can, share those experiences with others. Because those moments, especially when they're shared, stick with us. And when the opportunity for awe arises, remember that feeling of the small self, and remember how connected we are to the world around us. Because that world is facing real challenges, from climate change to pollution to biodiversity loss. And the research shows that when we feel awe, when we feel that sense of connection, we're more likely to act. So let those feelings guide you to act, whether that's using renewable energy sources, reducing waste, composting, supporting environmental policies, or simply being more mindful of your impact. Small actions taken consistently matter. And those actions can start with something as simple and as powerful as a moment of awe. Thank you.